And now, marine weather around Alaska.
We'll start the marine section off here. Looking at tonight's weather, strong low here pulling up off the coast of the Panhandle here in the front, pushing in. High wind warnings out for tonight for Prince of Wales Island for southeast winds gusting to 60 miles per hour, along with some rain, heavy at times there. Not so heavy on the rain up toward Juneau, but there is a high wind warning out also for tonight for the Juneau-Douglas area for northeast winds gusting to 60 miles per hour. Dry from the North Gulf Coast with that area of light snow and rain here, just kind of sliding southward here in offshore flow that develops here across southern Alaska. And variable clouds, eastern, southeast interior, mostly clear to the west here. And again, some light snow flurries grazing the Arctic coast, and another system pushing rain and wind here across the southeast Bering Sea, as well as areas up toward the north there, but seeing south of St. Lawrence Island. And for tomorrow, that front really dissipates here and stays off the coast there. We'll keep some light rain going at times in diminishing amounts throughout the day for the Pribilof Islands down to the Alaska Peninsula. Another chance of some moisture here with a weak trough over Adak and Atka, and then the next front farther out there to the west. Nice day over interior Alaska with a fair amount of clearing. Mostly sunny skies, south central Alaska on down to Kodiak Island. Much of the western interior, high pressure there near the Brooks Range, keeps it dry in that area and kind of holds back that light snow condition there right along the coastal areas there, but a little drier on the east side tomorrow, but still cloudy. And periods of rain, but a lot less wind here for the Panhandle. That stronger system here edging in toward the Queen Charlotte Islands are actually staying to the southwest there. And then we'll see that tracks east-northeastward weakens. That'll bring just a slight chance of rain, possibly reaching the southern Panhandle in the afternoon with mostly cloudy skies there, but increasing clearing Sunday up toward the Juneau area, as well as Sitka, Port Alexander, on up in toward Lynn Canal there, Haines area. Mostly sunny, light winds from the Gulf of Alaska northward there to the Brooks Range, and still maybe some light snow flurries there for the Arctic coast. And out to the west, storm system in a front pushing increasing chances for precipitation. Actually a pretty good chance here for the southwest coast and pushing up across St. Lawrence Island toward the Nome area there. Another band of rain, another rainy day for the Pribilof Islands on down as this front drags across the eastern Aleutians here from about Atka Island eastward in toward Unalaska and Nikolsky. Marine forecast, gale warnings tomorrow, south coast here for southeast winds, 35 knots with higher gusts, central coast, winds east at 30 knots, and east winds 15 to 20 for the north coast. Gale warnings for the inside waters tomorrow for the central northern areas. Northeast winds at 35 and southeast 35 for Clarence Strait. And then lighter winds in store for Sunday. Here along the north coast, we got north at 10 knots and the central coast. Northwest winds at 15 knots, seas at about 11 feet in the south coast, north at 15 knots with 12-foot seas. Lynn Canal, still a little breezy, north at 20 with higher gusts, north 15 for Stevens Passage, Clarence Strait, northwest at 20. North Gulf Coast tomorrow, north to northwest winds 25 to 35 knots. Prince William Sound, north winds at 20 knots, 4-foot seas there in the Sound. And for Cook Inlet, north winds 10 to 15 knots. And small craft advisories for the Barren Islands and Kamishak Bay for northwesterlies at 25 to 30. And then for the day on Sunday, Cook Inlet, variable winds at about 10 knots with seas down to 2 feet, west at 25 for the Barren Islands. Otherwise, the western North Gulf Coast, variable winds at 10 knots, becoming north at 15 knots there for the east side. And Prince William Sound, light north winds at 10 knots, seas no more than 2 feet. Kodiak Island, west-northwest breeze tomorrow at about 20 knots with seas up to 8 feet there on the east side. Shelikof Strait about 4 feet. Light variable winds for Bristol Bay at 10 knots. Alaska Peninsula, south to southwest winds 20 to 25 knots. And then for the day Sunday, the Alaska Peninsula, south to southwest winds 20 to 25 knots. Seas running 5 to 7 feet, south at 20 for Bristol Bay. Kodiak Island, west-southwest at 20 knots. Eastern Aleutians, west winds 25 to 30 knots with seas running 8 to 10 feet. And for the Adak and Atka area here, looking at west-southwest winds at 20 knots. Western Aleutians, winds out of the southwest, 20 to 25 knots, strongest there west of Kiska Island. And then we've got small craft advisories for all of the Aleutians on Sunday. For the western areas, mostly from a westerly direction of 25 to 30 knots. Adak and Atka, west-southwest 25 to 30 knots, and west-southwest winds here around the Kulski turn southwest, 25 to 30 knots for Unalaska. And for St. Lawrence Island and the southwest coast, east winds tomorrow at 15 knots with 2 to 3 foot seas, northeast at 15 for Norton Sound, seas 3 feet. East winds 30 knots for St. Matthew Island and west 25 here for the Pribilof Islands with seas up to 10 feet. And then for Sunday, west winds 30 knots, Pribilof Island seas 11 feet, otherwise south at 25 for St. Matthew Island. Kuskokwim Delta Coast, south winds 30 knots, Yukon Delta Coast, east at 20 knots, east 20 for Norton Sound, and southeast at 20 for St. Lawrence Island. Up to the north, eastern Beaufort Sea coast for Saturday, west winds 20 to 25 knots, seas 4 to 6 feet, west at 15 on the central coast, becoming northwest at 15 on the western coast, and Chukchi Sea, northeast winds just 10 to 15 knots with 2 to 3 foot seas. And for the day on Sunday, Chukchi Sea, east winds 15 to 20 knots with seas no more than 4 feet. East winds at 10 knots on the western coast, northeast at 10 on the central coast, and then still westerlies of 15 to 20 knots here for the eastern Beaufort Sea coastline.